I'm Jorge Serra, professor from AIA Business School, and welcome to this web conference. I would like to take the opportunity to say hello to everybody who is joining us for the first time, and especially to all the people who is joining us from different parts of the world. Today, web conference would be about cloud tools and how these tools can transform your business. And to talk about this topic, we have today with us Puriya Sayat. He's, let me read, Senior ICT Research and Development Technical Lead, Solution Architect and Project Manager at I2CAT Foundation. Here we say IDOSCAT Foundation. And so he will be giving us light about these cloud tools that we all have heard about, but I'm sure that we don't know much as he does. Before giving the word to Puriya, I invite you to participate in this web conference through Twitter or Facebook. If you're using Twitter, you can use the hashtag AIA conference, EAE conference, or the hash OBS conference. Okay? So Puriya, it's all yours.
Thank you very much for introduction, and thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to present this work, because, well, normally we as a tech people doesn't get much chance to talk with business people, but at the end of the day, business is very important. So we just don't do, let's say, technology because it's cool. We do the technology because we want to create business. So I think it's a very good opportunity. So maybe we can start. So let's begin with the slides. So I think this sentence is familiar with for some of you, which says like, our customers are digital. So you may hear that there are digital startups. You can see a lot of them here. We have, let's say, different bigger enterprises to be as digital customers. We have public institutions and public sector as digital, let's say, customers, but what does it mean, really, digital? So that's a big question that I try to answer in this presentation and try to address. So if you think about digital, it means turning the data into the business value. So all of these institutions that I presented so far, they try to consume the data and generate a business value out of that data. But the question is how? Through a software. So their business ideas turns to be some codes that they build, and they apply those codes over their data assets to turn a business value out of that, let's say, data. For example, I don't know, there are a lot of familiar examples every day, like Airbnb knows about your house, knows about customers. These are data assets. They apply a code to generate a business value out of it. So the first business rule is digital businesses build their business models as code around the data assets. Okay, so data is very important. But what about hardware? So what we do with hardware? Here comes the word cloud. So if you think about the cloud, even if you look at the Wikipedia, cloud means a pool of configurable computational resources which sit somewhere in the internet, and you as a customer think it's unlimited, it's infinite. So you could do whatever you want through that. I mean, of course, you need to pay. But this is the meaning, the simple meaning of the cloud. So if you think of it, I think such a picture would be kind of familiar for you. So as an end customer, either you're a wearable device user, either you are a smart vehicle user, either you're using a smartphone, or you're connected through your laptop to the internet. With any means of communication that you're using, if it's LTE, if it's Wi-Fi, if it's normal internet cable, you're going to reach a source of computational which sits somewhere in the internet. There are different providers, of course. There are Amazon as an example, Google as another example, Dropbox, different services, different providers, different business models. But as a let's say, as a shape, you can think of it as something like that. This picture shows it. But what this cloud really means? Inside a cloud, basically you have the infrastructure in the lowest layer. So you have the computational resources, you have the storage resources, you have the networking which connects those elements together. On top of that, you have operating system, you have different, let's say, so-called platforms like databases, like queuing technologies, and on top of that, you have applications, which can, let's say, can be offered in different models. So based on that, the cloud providers come up with different business models. They can offer you services as infrastructure as a service, which is IaaS at the bottom of this, let's say, triangle. You can see it. So you as a customer can come and request for an infrastructure from the cloud provider. In another business model, you can ask for OS, you can ask for some part of applications and services and infrastructure for sure to form a platform as a service business model. So you pay for a platform and then on top of that, you build your application. Or you can be an end user which requests a software package. For example, you want a communication system, I don't know, something like a chat, let's say, software, or you have a finance application and you just want to use that finance application through the cloud. So you request the required hardware, you request the required platform and the correct application, and you just use it. So basically, this is the model that today's cloud really work. But for us, what is important, apart from technology, is cloud is available to everyone. So you can reach cloud through the internet, which is available everywhere, and you can buy whatever you request based on those models through the cloud. So then, if the cloud is available, means that the hardware is available to almost everyone. So how the business differentiators would be then? So for people who wants to build digital businesses, the actual idea, the sort of data, and the way that they build the relationship with the customer would means the business differentiator, basically. So apart from hardware, which is available to everyone, you need to find another way to be more effective in the market. So basically, you need to be faster, you need to be better, and you need to be quicker. You need to be faster in bringing up new market ideas. You need to be better to collect data, to analyze it, and to predict the data. You need to be quicker to provide feedback to your customer. That means the real success in the digital world. So the second rule in the business model of digital business is basically you need to apply this quicker, faster, and let's say customer-centric idea into your business. So this is the second rule of the digital business. But what is the bottleneck? So if we know these rules, if the hardware is available, if we can generate ideas, so where is the bottleneck? One of the bottlenecks that the Amazon Web Service provided as, let's say, one of the important bottlenecks, and they try to solve, is the monolithic development life cycle of applications. So you have a bunch of developers working on an application, and they just built a let's say, monolithic application all together as a box. Let's say you can see it in this picture. So the application, in order to be developed, goes through few steps. It builds, it tested, and then there is a release. But this is a complicated process, and at the end of the day, the application comes very slowly. So how we can improve that? One way is to change the architecture of building an application. So instead of building an application as a whole, you can build the application in a way which is service-oriented, which is single-purpose, which is connected through APIs and highly decoupled. So what does it mean? I mean, I know it may sound a bit technical, but to put it simple,
a lot.
to put it simple, I brought this, let's say, real-life example, which is a grape. Mm-hmm. So instead of thinking about the fruit as a whole, you can think of it as a grape. So each of these grain of the grape is a service by itself. It works alone, and it's very complete service by itself. But then through the roots of the grape, it's been connected to another service. And as a whole system, it provides you the fruit that you know as grape. So this is the real meaning of microservices. So some small pieces that they work together, they can correctly connect together, and all to all, end to end, they deliver what you know as that application. So having said that, instead of building the services in the way you used to build before as a blocks, you could build them in a microservice, let's say, mindset. You break it down, you build it up, you connect it correctly as a pieces of puzzle, and at the end of the day, you deliver the full picture. This is an important change. Another thing is you can change the organization of building a solution. So today, normally, to deliver a product, to deliver a software product, there are different teams working together, but they're working in silos. There are developers, there are testers, and there are people who are working on operation. But it's a sequence of actions, so it's very slow. It takes time to get feedback, to add another request to developers to develop something. So how we can change that? For this very reason, people come up with a model of DevOps. So they mix all of these, let's say, actions, plans into a cycle. So you can plan a product, then you code it, you build it, you test it, you do a release, you deploy, you operate it, monitor it, and plan again. So this loop helps you to have a constant improvement of these software developments. And then the development and operations get a live feedback of what would be the final product. So all in all, you will build up something like that, which is a big change compared to the picture we saw before. So there is a group of developers working in smaller teams, developing a service, doing all the, let's say, delivery pipeline requirements. So they build, they test, they release their services, and these services come together, attached to each other, and they deliver at the end of the day the app you were looking for. So it helps you to break down work in smaller pieces, do frequent changes, and then constantly improve your product. So this is a very big change in the scope of, let's say, the cloud businesses in general. And this been adopted and promoted by many of the cloud providers like Amazon. Again, another question that may arise is, do I need to build everything by myself? So for every single product, do I need to build everything from the scratch? The answer is no. So for this very reason, cloud providers promote this idea. You build the core of your business, those services which is core of your business, and you buy the rest. So if you think of it as a pieces of puzzle, there are some foundations that you can buy from the market, but there are some game changers in the services that you are offering. You build it by yourself and you attach it to that foundation and you create what is your own personalized app. For this very reason, for example, Amazon provides this marketplace idea. So you can see in this marketplace there are different services are offered. Application, let's say security applications are offered, different infrastructures are offered, different database solutions are offered. So depends on your choice. You can build this foundation, and on top of that, you can add your own core idea and change, let's say, a simple foundation to a specific product of your own. Okay, so we can add this as a new rule in the successful digital business. So digital businesses are those businesses which adopt the microservice architecture and they adopt the agile, DevOps, continuous integration and continuous development culture in their business. So these three together would create a successful digital business. Okay, then next you need to hire some developers, build the code, analyze it, experiment it, and then do the iteration, and so on and so forth. So this would be, let's say, the next step of the application development or a successful digital business development. But is it all? This is a very important question because nowadays we are in an interesting, let's say, era. We are in some years that we are seeing the change of telecommunication systems from 4G to 5G, and we are foreseeing more connectivity, more ubiquity in the connectivity, and merging of different concepts together to generate something, let's say, which will change the face of world forever. So what does it mean, and how does it affect this business model of digital markets? So basically, what 5G promotes is, maybe through this picture, which is coming from Barcelona. I mean, it's interesting. We are in Barcelona, and Barcelona is promoting itself as a 5G city. You can see that the conventional understanding of a cloud as something over the internet and very far from the user is changing to be something distributed and closer as ever to the end user. So for example, these blue lines that you see are some lampposts in one of the streets of Barcelona, and close to it, very close to it in a cabinet, you have some computational capabilities. So instead of you traveling all the way back to a remote cloud system to process data, to provide an answer to your customers, you can do it very close to your customer with the distance of one lamppost only. Again, there is another technology you can see. So there are different access technologies, there are different technologies like satellite use, but apart from those technologies, what is very important for us now to understand is 5G is promoting a shift from the centralized cloud to distributed cloud. Some computational capacity very close to your customer, which is the citizens in a city. Basically, they can consume, let's say, the data, they can consume your services very, very easily. So this change demands a fundamental, let's say, shift in the mindset of these digital businesses. So instead of thinking about a centralized, let's say, applications, they can think about the distributed applications. A part of your application could sit close to the customer in the street, while another part of it, which is a more processing, let's say, hungry, can sit in a cloud domain. Then you can think about of different, let's say, partnership with different, let's say, service providers, because some part of your service may come from one provider, some part of it may come from another provider. Just to link them, you need to use a correct API. So this will help you to get the help from some specialist service providers in order to enhance your product in a way. So this is basically what 5G promotes or promises in general. It promises enhanced mobile broadband, so you would have more connectivity per devices. It helps you to have massive machine type communication, so many machines could communicate with many other machines. It helps you to have ultra reliable and low latency communication, so communication would be faster than ever. So we are going to an era which you would see, let's say, self-driving cars, you would see smart cities, you would see, I don't know, smart homes. There are many, many use cases and applications coming through which was not, we were not able to do before. So this is a big change. So beside adopting the dev open, beside adopting all the rules and let's say things that we mentioned about the digital services and the way that the cloud works, you should now think about new services, new application that 5 years ago you were not able to do. You could not think about, I don't know, a 3D video application, augmented reality application in your streets for the tourism, for example. But now with the help of 5G, you can think about this new market, and this is a huge market. The prediction projected in the Smart City Expo recently, like it was a few days ago done in Barcelona, says that the contribution of 5G between 2020 to 2035 goes up to $3.3 trillion in this 15 period of year. So basically, it means an equal value of more value than the GDP that India produces per year. They are expecting that 5G in the context of smart cities create 22 million new jobs. Mm-hmm. So we are talking about a huge market. We are talking about huge economy. So beside adopting, let's say, those changes related to cloud, you should shift your mindset and target new businesses because it's an open market. It's a new way of thinking. And also, 5G changes the interaction between different stakeholders. So in the 5G ecosystem, instead of having conventional stakeholders, you have new stakeholders playing together in order to deliver something functional at the end of the day. You have policymakers, you have a standardization organization, end users play a role. There are different industries involved. There are so-called vertical businesses involved, which will derive, let's say, the 5G needs. So all of these, let's say, players need to work together, need to come up, let's say, with an agreement in order to deliver a successful digital market, a successful digital business in the 5G era. So basically the message here is, beside the shift in the technology you will do, you need to do a let's say mindset shift in your business in order to capture all the stakeholders required in order to deliver something good in the 5G era. So, like any other business, what is very important is when you are thinking about new businesses, you think about business viability, you think about technology feasibility, and you think about the desirability of your product. So when you think about these stakeholders and this technology coming together, for having a successful, let's say, innovation which 5G promotes, you need to think about business, desirability of the humans, like end customers, and technology possibility of your service in order to develop something good. Okay, so just as an example, over the 5G Barcelona, which is a real city-wide field trial lab deployed and promoted in Barcelona, now we are targeting different new applications which was not before possible. For example, we are promoting remote media productions. So there is a group of people working together to enhance, let's say, the way that you enjoy, let's say, the media production using the 5G capabilities. One another, let's say, important use case would be the connected cars. So now we are talking about, let's say, autonomous driving cars and the cars who can drive over the city. Tesla promotes it. I don't know. There are many car manufacturers promote these type of new cars. But for sure, it needs a new and better, let's say, telecom and cloud infrastructure behind it to make it possible. So many of those applications that would need in the car, that are required in the car in order to, for example, process the image around the car, can go in these cloud servers next to the car in the street level, because, and this is an application basically that one of the digital businesses needs to develop to consume data from the car, to digest what is the situation around the car and inform the car if there is an accident, if there is a disruption in the road. So we are targeting also the future of transportation, having a connectivity on the trains, but not normal connectivity for having, let's say, media services on board, emergency calls on board, so on and so forth. So I'm sure you're suffered already having traveling over the, let's say, high-speed train or plane and lose the connectivity. One of the 5G targets, or this new paradigm of connectivity, is to make you able to be connected from your phone through the aircrafts, through the high-speed trains. E-health would be another use case. There are many partners working together to provide better services for people to survive, let's say, longer and be healthier, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of examples that the digital business people could think about, could position themselves and create partnerships. So this partnership could be business-to-business partnership, like the example that I provide. So for example, you could be a solution provider targeting some small services that goes along with some other services to deliver a bigger application. So instead of thinking about a big picture, you could be just this grain of grape that goes in the full picture of the grape in order to deliver the whole grape. Or if you are a big industry, if you are capable enough, you can think about, let's say, picking different parts of this grape and build it as a whole. But 5G or this new cloud technology makes it possible for you to better understand, to better position yourself in this big market. And then this is a projection of, let's say, the different sectors which 5G will enable, or this new cloud environment will enable. So as you can see, they're expecting to have around $1.3 trillion globally out of the 5G enabled industry digitalization services. So basically, as you can see, energy is a big sector. So with this new paradigm, with this new, let's say, shift in the cloud system, having them more close to the energy utilities, you can think about new services that could help saving energy, which compose around 90% of this overall, let's say, 1.3 trillion market contribution. Industry, manufacturing is another one. So we can enhance the efficiency of our products using this technology, because maybe we can detect the defect of the product line sooner and respond to it easier. Public safety is another important area to focus. Nowadays we have a lot of issues, so this technology, this shift, this paradigm shift in the understanding of cloud, in the understanding of telecom communication would help us to provide safer cities, and then public transportation, so on and so forth. So expectation says that by year 2035, so within 15 years after the launch of 5G for real, because the target is to have 5G by 2020, it is expected to have the quality of life indicators improve by 30%. So in the future smart cities, by improvement done in this sector, we are expecting globally 30% better life quality for our citizens. 30%. 30. Yeah. So we are thinking about having safer cities, efficient cities, less carbon, let's say, dioxide footprint, better educations. So many other, let's say, topics. Just to give you some more information, for example, in the automotive sector, there is around. So if I remember it correctly, today annually we have around 25,000 fatal accidents in Europe, or accidents, car accidents in Europe. So 5G with automotive, let's say, technology targets to reduce this number much higher, much lower, basically to make citizens. To protect the vulnerable road users and reduce the number of fatal accidents, because we don't want to lose our citizens' life. And all of this comes thanks to this better, let's say, telecom technology in the sense of access. So you have better wireless technologies, better wired technologies, plus this shift in the cloud. So instead of having centralized cloud, now you have mobile edge computing technologies which are very close to the end users and makes it possible to benefit from all of these, let's say, advantages. So that's more or less what I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you have any question. For sure you have some questions to ask our
audience. Yeah, sure. Well, thank you very much, Purya, and thank you, because I think that such a complicated issue, you've used really plain words, and I'm not an expert at all, and I almost understood everything you said. So
that's very good.
I think your first goal is good. Just to summarize a little bit, I've just written down some sentences. Yeah. First one, I like the first one that you said. Digital means turning data into business value through software. Yeah. I think the issue of giving value is very important, because sometimes we forget about that.
Yes.
We start doing things and that do not provide value, and I think it's really interesting. I also like that the cloud is available for everyone.
Yes.
I don't know how. I mean, sure it's available for me, but for me the cloud is something very, well, not that strange now, but for me it sounds a bit strange. So I'm happy to know that it's also available for me and for everybody in the audience. Yeah. I also like the idea that the digital businesses differentiate themselves through ideas, data, and customer relationships.
Exactly.
And above all, I liked the issue of customer relationships.
Yes.
I'm a marketing professor, and for me, customer centricity is key.
Very important.
And I'm glad to hear someone so technical like you talking about customers and stating the importance of building relationships with customers.
Of course.
I think it's really important. I also like that you said that speed means success.
Yeah.
You said if you are fast in getting new ideas, better at collecting, analyzing, and predicting data, and quicker at reacting to customer feedback.
Exactly.
So we
Yeah.
better start running.
Yeah, exactly. It's
really
it's,
fast.
It's true.
And the last one that I'm sure that a lot of people say, well, I want to be in this cloud. Should I spend a lot of money or should I invest a lot? And I think you gave the clue saying build and own what's core to your business and buy the rest.
Exactly.
So forget about big expenditures,
Yeah.
just focus on your business.
On your core business, yeah.
And from my side, I think this summarizes all your
Yeah.
speech. We have some questions.
Yes, please.
I have one that it's a bit, I don't know if you have the answer. You talk about 4G, now 5G. Will there be a 6G?
Well, actually, I think it's a very important question, to be honest, because the telecom industry or the cloud industry in general, or technology in general, every 5 years, every 10 years, they try to come up with a new generation. So it may sound cool to come up with a new generation, but if you ask me, maybe better than thinking about 6G, maybe we could think about the trend or the direction that this technology is going towards. So we talked a lot about data. So it shows the importance of data itself. So like how the data is collected, how it's stored, how it's processed, and how we can generate a value out of that data. Having said that, it means that basically we are moving from, let's say, traditional system to more automated and more intelligent systems. That means that the next step would be some concept like artificial intelligence. So smarter and smarter. So means that you can, let's say, dedicate some of your work doing to some, let's say, machines that can help you. For example, just think about the use case of basically connected cars. And imagine you're a passenger sitting on a connected car. So you rely on the connectivity. But what if we enter a tunnel and then the connectivity goes away? So basically, it means that the car doesn't have any driver. So you will crash. Basically, that's very dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So, but if the system is intelligent enough, it can predict that there is a problem in the connectivity inside the tunnel, so it can ask for an alternative path to cover that shortage, or inform you as a passenger that, look, you need to take the wheel and cross this tunnel, otherwise you will have a problem.
Or maybe drive itself through the tunnel
Yeah.
because it knows the way.
Yeah, exactly. Or so this level of knowledge, this level of prediction, this level of, let's say, intelligence is the next step for sure. Beside that, cybersecurity and data protection are the next step as well. So as we're talking about data, it's very important to avoid everyone to access that data. For example, I'm sure none of us, including audiences and other people that will watch this video later on, feel comfortable, for example, if their health data leakage through a hacker that get access to a health service. So for sure not. We don't want to do that. So it's very important to position ourselves. So many of these business developers, like it's a good business opportunity for the digital businesses to focus on data protection, data anonymity, and cybersecurity in order to make, let's say, the future communication and future clouds more secure, more agile, and more trustable. Because after all, we're building this infrastructure, and if no one trusts it, so it loses its value.
Yeah,
so it's out of the market. So we need to make sure that people trust us, and trust is something that we need to gain. So these are all, let's say, the next step in telecom. I don't know if we can name it as 6G or not. But yes, this would be, let's say, the next step for sure. Yeah.
Wow. We need to be prepared.
Yeah, we need to be very prepared. Yeah.
Let's see, we have some other questions via Twitter. You remember #AI conference, EAE conference, or #OBS conference. I have another question here. Well, someone asked how secure is the cloud. You were talking
Yeah.
right now about security. Currently, can we say that the cloud is it's something secure, or is something that we don't really know?
Well, in general, there is a good level of security in place, and cloud businesses like Amazon, like Azure Cloud of Microsoft, Dropbox, many other service providers in the cloud domain, they try to improve themselves more and more. Because imagine, if you're a customer of Dropbox and you understand that, like a disaster that happened to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So if people lose the trust on Facebook, thinking that there is a possibility of accessing to my personal data and use it later on for or against me,
Mm-hmm.
or to, let's say, drive mindset of people using that data, they will go away from Facebook. So we saw a big migration, for example, from Facebook recently because of this general belief. So the cloud system really concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they are trying to improve it as much as possible. But for sure, there are always holes and there are always gaps. So I would say there's a good level of security, but for sure it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
For sure we can improve. So if you have an idea to improve security,
Welcome.
encryption, yes, you're more than welcome. And it's a very big market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that if an innovative idea could provide a high level of security, for sure,
Or maybe blockchain or something like that.
blockchain could be
Mm-hmm.
a good, let's say, solution. But maybe blockchain cannot work, let's say, in every situations.
Mm-hmm.
So depends on the situation. Yes, blockchain could help, but maybe there are some. But blockchain came because of the trust issue.
So we need a cloud blockchain.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey guys, a cloud blockchain. Okay, and last question. I think it's a bit related to this. They ask, what are, in your opinion, what are the main fears of companies regarding the cloud?
Yeah, what are the fears of? Yeah, again, one of
The
them is
security
data,
for sure.
Yeah, data protection, for example. So imagine, depends. I mean, even like individuals doesn't trust to put everything on the cloud. So imagine you're, I don't know, you're a bank or you're a Federal Reserve of United States.
Yeah.
So you don't put your data on the cloud unless you're very sure about it, right? So trust is a very important issue for sure. Sorry, I forgot the.
The main fears of companies regarding the cloud.
Yeah, I think
Security
the
is
main,
one,
the
maybe,
one.
maybe cost, maybe.
Well, it depends on the business. Depends on the business because many cloud providers try to be cheap.
Mhm.
They even try to offer you free services. So, for example, to get 2 gigabytes from Dropbox, you pay nothing.
Yeah.
So it comes for free. But the question is like how they generate money out of it. So they build a business model that for the end customers, this comes for free, but at the back end, they're generating money. So one of the trust issue that if you are obsessed about trust issue, maybe you should think about this business model. Because at the end of the day, they own your data. You don't know where this exists, right? And how they consume it at the end of the day. So it's just like depositing your money in the bank. So you see an account, you see a number in your account, but you don't know where is the money for
Where
real.
the money, yeah.
So the same
You cannot
happens
touch
to the same happens to your data. So when you deposit it somewhere, it's there, and it will remain there forever because there are multiple copies. Because they want to keep. They don't want to lose your data. So they do copies. They keep duplication of your data. So how they use it, how they generate money out of it, I don't know. We can study. We can. But for the moment,
Guys,
I think
another idea.
yeah. I mean, building these business models would be a very good idea. So if you could come up with something that helps the cloud systems to provide with more free, let's say, spaces to the end customer while generating revenue out of it in the back end, it's a very important point. And well, I think it's related to the business school. So to think about the cloud, how they can generate revenue, and how let's say they could be profitable.
Great, Buria, it's been a pleasure.
It's
Thank
my
you very
pleasure.
much
Thanks
for
a lot.
sharing your knowledge
Thanks a lot.
with us.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure is mine.
And for you all, in a few days, we will send you an email with the link of this webinar, just in case you want to see it again. And hope to see you again in our next webinar. Goodbye, and thank you for your attention.
Bye.